Hello, Jenny Hall here for Trinity Stamps. Today we're excited to be part of the Expo and share some Slimline Christmas cards with you. All of the projects will feature the Slimline pattern paper pads. We're going to start off with sharing the Hip to Be Square Slimline die. This is a really nice slimline die that cuts little squares and creates like a frame. The outside measurements are 8.5 by 3.5 inches. Here's a look at what the frame die cut appears to be, and you can use this die cut in lots of different ways. Here are the little squares that it cuts out, and you could even use these in some sort of a design. We're going to start off by creating a slimline card, and I'm using a piece of pattern paper here that has been trimmed down to 8.5 by 3.5 inches, and I'm going to adhere that to a slimline note card. Once I have that in place, then I'll be able to adhere the frame. This frame is really great for also creating shaker cards. To do that, simply adhere a piece of acetate behind this die cut and then adhere with some foam strips around the edges, and you have an instant shaker card. I'm adhering this window frame as I kind of feel that it looks like a window, and I'm going to add some stamped elements. This is the From Our Gnome to Yours stamp set, which is one of many of the gnomes that we carry in the Trinity store. I've already pre-colored and die cut all of the elements from this sweet little stamp set. And you can see here that our little girl gnome has a pretty flower, and the sentiment says, "From our home, gnome, to yours." So you could choose to have the sentiment read out, "From our home to yours," or "From our gnome to yours." Or you could pair the sweet little gnome lady and use a different sentiment altogether. I'm going to show you what it looks like to use this sentiment that it comes with the stamp set and have it say, "From our home to yours." The thought behind this card is that it looks like a tall window and that there is some snowfall on the outside, which is created by that pattern paper. This is the holiday pattern paper pad, and it is full of 9x4 double-sided papers. Now you can see here it would be easy to swap out the home word for the gnome word, and it creates a sweet little card. Moving on, our next project is going to have some scripty dies. And this is the Happy Holidays scripty die and the Sweet Holiday Wishes die set. I'm going to use some colored cardstock and cut this from brown paper. When I first had a look at this die, it reminded me of a chocolate bar. So we are going to recreate a chocolate bar and have a gift card holder on the inside. By using a few different products from the Trinity store, such as this coffee mug die set, this part has the gift holder that is really easy to die cut and just slip on the inside of any sized card. I've started out by using a slimline card base that once it's folded and scored, it measures 8.5 by 3.5. And then I've taken this die and made the die cut from the same colored cardstock. All of those little white squares are actually double-sided foam. I've taken all of the little pieces that come away from the die once it's die cut. We're going to call that the negative space. And I have added a little bit of brown ink to each one of those. That way it will stand out a little better from the base of the card. This type of card would be ideal for our older kids or for adults. It looks like a chocolate bar and will easily resonate with them. Now I'm going to use cut from silver foil paper that Happy Holidays scripty die, and I've cut the S away from the end of the word to just say holiday. The Sweet Holiday Wishes stamp or die set, it has these perfect little matching greetings that say sweet and wishes, and it works out perfectly. Now just to adhere that gift card holder on the inside, and you can see those little flaps where you slide in your gift card, and there you go. Really easy to make for anybody, especially for guys. We need lots of ideas for guys. Here is some design team inspiration, and you can see here more of that hip to be square, as well as lots of other Christmas cards that are created by our Trinity Stamps design team. There are so many different looks that we can achieve, and I'm only able to share just a small amount here with you today. So I thought it would be really nice if you could see other possibilities with some of these products. And there's some more of our gnomes. They are so sweet. I really like the look of the shine on holiday cards. It makes things really fun. Even shaker cards are really fun to create during the holidays. Moving on to our next set of projects, we're going to use the Scripty Christmas and the Scripty Holiday dies. This is the Scripty Christmas die set and the Scripty Holidays die set. We've already had a look at how to use the holidays, and we're going to use both of these. And the theme here is to create really quick cards. There is a shadow die as well as a detailed word die for each one of these. Our first card shares the Wonky Wilderness die set as well as the Autumn Rainbow paper pad. Remember, all of our cards today have got something from the paper pad in them. We have 4 different Slimline paper pads to choose from in the Trinity store. I've grabbed a piece of paper out of the Autumn Rainbow paper pad at random, and I have cut it from the Wonky Wilderness stitched die. The Wonky Wilderness die set carries a lot of things in the die set, but I'm just using that frame die. I have already cut my sentiment out, and this is the Scripty Christmas, and I've used some of my favorite adhesive on the back. And can you see that holographic gold paper? Using word dies that are really large and take up a lot of real estate on a card is a perfect way to use specialty foil papers and glitter papers. I grabbed another one of my favorite Trinity Christmas stamp sets, and I've just colored up a few images and embossed some snowflakes, and this is a super fast card to toss together. By making a lot of die cuts from those scripty word dies, then I can just put them together and then grab a piece of pattern paper and place it on a card base, and we're ready to go. It seems like these days we need more and more Christmas cards, especially this year, knowing that our friends and family are not going to be with us and that we're going to want them to know that we're remembering them during the holidays. Having a go-to to make a Christmas card stack and get those sent out in the mail is really handy. Another great thing about using the paper pads is that they are sized to be able to be featured on a 9x4 slimline card or used with most slimline dies so that you can cut them down to be your own size. I just love that shiny gold paper, and I know that this is going to be a hit with all kids. Our next card is going to feature the Slimline stitched frame dies as well as the Slimline scenic border dies. I'm also pulling another one of my favorite Christmas stamps out, and this is called Gingerbird House. Now here is the Winter Hues paper pad. And remember, we're featuring all of our paper pads in our projects today. And I've taken one of those stitched dies, and I like how this die set features different sizes so you can layer up your paper. I've already pre-cut everything, and I thought this would be a really great opportunity to share some birds. If you love a bird stamp, then Gingerbird House stamp set will work perfectly on a holiday or a non-holiday card, but you don't have to use the whole stamp set in order to make a card project. Just grab a few of your favorite images from a stamp set, pair them with some large die words, such as these scripty dies, and then you have a very quick card. I die cut the words from white cardstock, and then I used a Trinity Stamps Blending Buddy brush along with some red ink, and I added some color just to the bottom and faded it up. And you can see here that paired with my sweet little red birds from the Gingerbird House stamp set, then this makes a very simple, very easy card. I've grabbed some embellishments from the Trinity store, and I'm going to add just a few embellishments, and that will top off this really, really cute card. I think this is probably my favorite card out of all the cards I'm sharing with you today, just because I really love bird stamps. I added some glimmer to the bird's belly. Our next project carries the Slimline Scallops and Banners dies, and we're going to use the holiday paper pad. This paper pad is full of designs that can be used in so many different ways. I've used it with just having a few little pieces here and there on a card, or featured it as a background. I'm going to use the smaller of the two scalloped frame dies and make this appear as if you can see lots of the card base and bring that white color all the way through the project. There is a larger scalloped frame die that goes up against the edge of the 8.5 by 3.5 inch card base, but this one I like being able to feature some of the cardstock behind it. I really love this paper pad because it has so many different opportunities. I could die cut every single piece from this holiday paper pad with this one die, and then use these Happy Holidays dies and just make a whole stack of cards. This is something that I do with my children every year too. My children love to make Christmas cards, so I could take and die cut a bunch of these backgrounds and just sit and glue with them and make some wonderful holiday cards to send out. And that holographic paper has a really great opportunity to stand out. Using the scripty word dies works out wonderfully. Our next card has all spruced up stamps and dies. The inspiration behind this card was that I wanted it to appear like a holiday table. So I'm going to start out with a card base, again, that once it's scored and folded, it's 8.5 by 3.5 inches. And this time we're going to do some stamping with a Slimline stamp. I'm using some green ink from Ink on 3, and we'll even share a little technique here. Once I have this first layer stamped down, then I'm going to add some teal ink just to the bottom part of the branches, and then I will use a cloth over my finger and touch the cloth where the line is that goes around the inside edge of the stamp. So basically what I'm trying to do is to soften the line and remove some of the ink to where it's going to kind of fade in and won't stamp down with a really harsh line on the green base layer of ink. Some people call this the rock and roll technique, and it is just fun, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to get a little more depth and dimension to those little branches on the Slimline stamp. After giving that a firm press, you can see that it just works out perfectly. A great feature about the all spruced up stamps and die set is that this die cuts away the middle area. Once lined up, I'm going to keep it in place with a few pieces of washi tape. The washi tape is not necessary, but it really helps me with Slimline dies going through my electric die cut machine because there's a lot of pressure being added and sometimes the paper can shift away from the die. I'm going to use the black and white paper pad this time, and this is full of beautiful designs. Something unique about the black and white paper pad is that the way that it is created, you can use some foil from your favorite foil and place it in a laminator, and the foil will transfer down to the black printed portion of this paper pad. So it's all ready for foiling, which is totally cool. But we're not doing any foiling today. We're going to keep it simple because that's the theme, is quick and simple Christmas cards. Once I adhere this piece down to a card base, I could just stop here and place those scripty word dies and have a card ready to go. But because I want you to see what it looks like with the all spruced up die and stamp, then it's going to make it look to me a little bit more like a holiday table. That's part of something that's really unique, is how each family celebrates during the holiday season. I like to see lots of black and white checkered design and loads of greenery with pops of red color. So this card theme reminded me it looks a little bit like a country Christmas, but it was still super quick and easy to put together. I die cut the Happy Holidays word dies from white paper and added some red ink, but this can easily be done with some red cardstock, or some shiny glittery red cardstock would be even better. The more that it would stand out, the better. I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue down to the back, right behind where the words are. You could also just adhere this directly down with your favorite adhesive. Once this is in place, then I've grabbed some more embellishments from the Trinity store, and I'm going to place them around the design. The next step is not necessary. You don't have to add any embellishments, but I thought while I had it out that some nice pieces of glittering gold would look really pretty peeking out from behind all of those little branches. Trinity Stamps has over 200 embellishments to choose from in the Trinity store. And check it out. It's a really, really easy card to put together. Here are all 4 of the cards that we've created with the scripty holidays and the scripty Christmas dies, as well as using the pattern paper pads for each one of our projects. I really like how that brings together very quick and easy cards. Here is some more design team inspiration to share. We've got another use for that scripty Christmas die, and then we also have lots more Trinity Stamps, Christmas dies, and Christmas card options in the Trinity store. I can't share them all with you today, but I can share you some design team inspiration. And here is a project very much like the one that I created. We even have a slimline sized box card die. Our design team has done a fabulous job sharing Christmas cards this year. Our last project will be the Living Room Scene Builder Slimline die set. Here is a look at the components, and then this is what it looks like if you can put some of them all together. I'll also be using a stamp set called A Stamp for Almost Anything, or A Sentiment for Almost Anything. I have already colored and die cut some of the images from the Cozy Christmas Cottage stamp set. And you can see here that it makes room scene building so easy. I've also already pre-stamped my sentiment and cut it on a strip of white paper. In order to build up this scene, we're going to use some more pattern paper. This is a fabulous stamp set as it has greetings that cover almost every occasion. We have the Winter Hues paper pad again and the Holiday paper pad. There's so much resource in one paper pad. It should last all the way through the season and beyond. Some of the designs even carry for all occasion cards. Here's a look at that room scene builder die, and you can see that you can create lots of different looks. In the base die, the floor, the wall, and then an empty space to carry the other part of the wall is cut at one time. The way that I like to use this die is when I'm cutting the pieces out, I will cut the whole thing in different papers, and then I will slice apart the top portion of the wall from the bottom portion of the wall that has like a shiplap, and then I will cut the floor section away also. Cutting it this way makes it very simple to give it a different look. You could also cut it from just one piece of white cardstock and do some ink blending and separate the different sections of the wall and the floor. I've used the window die and die cut an area of the wall, which I would like it to look like Christmas wallpaper. That's why I chose to use that reindeer pattern. And now I'm going to adhere that down to a colored cardstock card base. It's not necessary to use colored cardstock, but I chose to do that in order to really help things stand out. So I'm placing that first section, and this is supposed to be the upper portion of the wall background. And because it has another piece that has snowflakes behind it, then it's going to appear like there are snowflakes on the outside of the window. I've cut away that middle section and used some more pattern paper here. And again, this doesn't have to be made from pattern paper. This is just me showing you all the things we can do with the pattern paper. But regular cardstock or colored cardstock works really great too. The bottom section is going to be the floor, and I'm not sure if you can see it on the pattern paper, but the floor has a look of perspective where it kind of, the die makes an impression, a scoring impression in that area and makes it look like the floorboards are spreading out in perspective of what you would see in real life. Now in this die set are also two really long strips. At first glance, they may appear to be the same, but they're not. One is a rounded and one is a flat strip, and it is to help you create a border from the different dividing areas of where the floor meets the wood and the wood of the bottom portion of the wall meets the top portion of the wall. This is what we would use molding for in real life. So it's very cool that you can even create a lifelike room. Now, this is not one of those really quick and simple Christmas cards, but by using pattern paper, we're taking a very long, labor-intensive card and we're cutting it way down with some little tips and tricks. I've cut the window die and I'm going to place that over the die cut area. And you can see now that our scene is starting to come together. I've also cut the curtains out of some pattern paper and I'm going to just adhere those with liquid glue. There's a curtain rod that's already in place as well. One thing to mention about this style of card is that it's not for everybody. However, many of us like to pour a lot of love into a handmade card and send it, and once somebody receives it, they can tell how much work was put into that card. I'm going to adhere all of the other pieces, and this is where exact placement really helps the card to get a little bit more of a perspective in variety. By placing that fireplace up against the walls where it just hangs over onto the floor a little bit, then I'm giving a different perspective look. And I've created the rug out of some pattern paper as well. I'm going to glue down the Christmas tree on the opposite side, and that's going to give us a really nice focal point on the right-hand side. Using this type of a room scene builder is really forgiving. If there were parts of the window that didn't come out the way I wanted to, I'll just place an object in front of it and it's never going to show in the finished card. Here is our little bear, and he kind of looks like a lion. He kind of looks like a bear. I'm not really sure what he's supposed to look like. I think he looks more like a lion to me sometimes, and so I colored him to be a lion this time. He is one of many different stamp sets that we carry in the Trinity store, and there are some adult, male, and female characters that all have that same look. What's really cool is you can customize it to color and look like whatever you'd like. Once I have adhered that sentiment in place, then I am adding in some of the little gifts that have been wrapped, and I'm going to just kind of place them around the sentiment and anchor it down into the design. The little square present is small enough to be able to place in lots of different areas. I thought maybe it should be placed over on the other side of the sentiment, or close to the dog, or even up on top of the fireplace. Everything can be customized and designed. I settled on putting it close to the dog because I want him to be an important part of the scene as well. And here's our finished card. Once everything's put together, it's something that will be displayed for certain. Someone will love this card once they get it. Here is some more design team inspiration to share with you. Here is another look at how that exact same stamp set and die set can look, but without using the pattern paper. Instead, I added ink blending and it works perfectly. We have lots of stamp sets that are perfect for scene building. Outdoor scenes or indoor scenes. We have a lot of fun with scene building over at Trinity Stamps. I love how you can even integrate a shaker card and make it also a scene builder. And here's some more of those little characters there. Today, our show special is 15% off all Slimline products from November 24th through December the 1st. Simply use the code HOLIDAY SLIMLINE, HOLIDAYSLIMLINE, whenever you're checking out at trinitystamps.com, and your 15% off will show up. Thank you so much for spending time with us today at the Expo. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.